Hey, it's Isaiah with Symphony Landscaping here, and I'm joined by Micah with Great Canadian Handyman.
Very excited to be here, guys.
Yeah, so we're going to chat about a few practical tips you can learn as a homeowner to make sure your contractor knows what he's doing and the project that you're having done goes smoothly.
Absolutely. Some of the fears that I have as a homeowner when starting my landscaping project, when is it going to get done? How, are you guys going to be tearing up my lawn? And I'm going to have guys hanging around my house for the whole summer and not going to be able to enjoy it. I hear so many bad things about projects going way past time frame. Another fear that I have is my project going to get done within my budget that we had planned on? And the other thing is it going to be the way that we actually wanted it to be, and that I had kind of had envisioned in my mind with everything that I wanted? So,
yeah,
tell me.
Well, I feel like there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
The thing about landscaping, specifically in Calgary, is there's a very wide variety of people who are landscapers. So one thing to look out for is even your initial site consultation with a company. Just asking some questions. So if you have a backyard project, for instance, and you know your grading and your slope is kind of not the best, and you're looking to have a patio put in, but say the back of your yard is higher than the front, closer to the house, and the patio is going in closer to the house, just see how your contractor is going to address that issue. Usually in a case like that, you're going to be putting in potentially a small pony retaining wall or something to kind of level the yard out, because you don't put patios on slopes. Downspout location, is your contractor noting, or the guy who's doing your site assessment, is he noting where your downspouts are going down and how the yard is kind of flowing? Are you getting everything ripped out and the grading is getting all redone so it's not that big of an issue? Then that's great. But just knowing drainage, ask them about the process, like how, if you're having a patio or a hardscape project put in, how do you go about doing that? Just ask some questions, and if they know what they're talking about, they should be very quickly to give you an answer on excavation depth, their process, how they do things. Second thing is just kind of get a feel for how far out they're booked. If the company is, if you're going to them in May and they're able to start you in June or July, that's probably about average. If they're able to start you right away and you're in the middle of busy season, usually for me that's a red flag, just because most companies have their spring booked. So if you're coming to a company in May and they're able to start you in May, I would just ask to maybe see some portfolio photos, see other work they've done, and yeah, ask those important questions. Sometimes price isn't always the most important thing in a project, and the thing about landscaping is you may not know how things were done until 2-3 years later when your patio starts sinking or your trees are dying and things like that. So vetting your contractor is one of the most important things, I would say. Keeping your project on track timeline wise. Just kind of, I would ask some questions about the crew. How big of crews do you guys run? How many crews do you run? Just in friendly conversation, ask kind of how full their season is. How's their season looking this year? You can get some good information and intel there. How many crews they're running, if they have a crazy busy season, how they go about the project, what their time frame is on the project. If it's a full backyard landscape project and they tell you, it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks, okay. If they tell you it's going to be 2 months and it's a patio and some grass, you can probably bank that they're going to be doing some, there for a couple days, gone for a couple days, and that's very common in contractors in general. You see that all the time in the renovation space.
Yeah.
Homeowners who've been left with a half-finished reno for 6 months.
Right.
So I would say vetting your contractor up front is one of the most important things. How is it going to look in the end? You'd mentioned that.
Yeah.
Having a design, again, some people say I might be beating a dead horse here, but knowing what you're doing before you start doing it is important. If you just get a quote that says we're installing 200 square feet of patio, 3 trees, and some garden beds for you and some sod, that's all well and fine, but where is that going? How is that going in? You may have had a site consultation with the salesperson or with the owner of the company if it's a smaller company, but that's not necessarily the same person who's executing the work. So how do they carry that through? With our process, usually we're going to have a design for every project. If it's a smaller project and we don't have a design phase, we still do a set of in-house shop drawings. So having everything laid out on paper is very important to keep a project so it looks the way you want it to be. If you're very particular about the style and the layout and the color scheme and everything else, it's probably a good idea to actually do some renderings, because a 2D top-down image only goes so far in regards to that. So those are a few different things I would do as a homeowner and as someone who would be kind of looking for a contractor. Just ask some questions. Do a little bit of your own research. I know from my own experience, if I go to a client's house and they know what they want, they understand the products they want and the reasons they want them, that makes my job easier. So do a little bit of research and make sure your research is Calgary or Canada specific, ideally, because people do things very differently in the warmer climates in the States. So not all the options you may see online are possible in Canada, but we can still do quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
what would be something that differentiates you from other landscapers in Calgary?
I would say that not just myself, but a lot of the companies in Calgary that I would consider solid, reputable companies is they have a lot more structure. So we have our design and sales team who works very closely with our operations side. Our operations side, you have your foreman, who's very, very skilled, and then you'd have the technicians under him. You'd have your operations manager, who kind of is making sure everyone has the material they need when they need it. That keeps the project going smoothly. We also don't pull out of a project unless we're done it. So if you get given a start date from Symphony, you're going to have a crew on site every day unless it's pouring rain until that project is finished. So yeah, I would say having a company structure where it's not just, the person who owns the company doing the sales and doing the work. That's not a bad thing. There's plenty of good contractors that do that, but that is something to, bigger companies usually are able to execute projects smoother and take on more volume just because we have a system and a structure in place that we've built over the years that works well.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's really true to the name Symphony Landscaping is it's not just a race to the bottom on price. And not to say that you guys have incredibly competitive pricing. I think you're one of the best priced companies. I'm not saying that to, I say that because
we keep competitive, yeah.
Very competitive. But I think it's also not, price is something that we often everyone gravitates towards and look at price. But what I hear from what you're saying, and I think rings very true, certainly on my end of things in the construction realm, is price is, what are you getting for the price? You're embarking on a project like this because you have an ultimate goal. And oftentimes there's multiple goals, and that's why we had kind of talked about, typically the main three are, budget, time frame, and the quality of the product. And with your guys' process and with your structure and your setup, you can make sure that everything really harmonizes together and that you get this, you get the end result. And it's also a really enjoyable way to do it as well. Very collaborative with the client as well, and something that wasn't kind of pulling your hair out sort of thing. A really stressless process.
Yeah, I think it's just it is a group project. Even if you're the client, obviously we want to handle everything for you, but it's your property. I tell pretty much all my clients in the design phase is your house. So ultimately I'm going to do what you want. I have my suggestions and what I think will look good and be a great end result. But the more you're involved in the process and you understand it, the more comfort you're going to have. So if you're looking for a landscaping project this summer in Calgary or even next season, you feel free to reach out, symphonylandscaping.com, Symphony Landscaping on Instagram as well. And we're on pretty much all the social media platforms, so look out for us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X as well.
They're everywhere. And be sure also to ask if you would like to check out some of those 3D renderings. They do some pretty cool stuff as well. And it truly does help you visualize those things as well. So I'm sure you guys can, they contact the office. And
yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy to help you out.
Awesome.
We'll
see you in the next one.